Hey, really quick, before this video, I just wanted to do a quick announcement. So the thing that I was alluding to in my past two videos has come out. My friends and I have launched a Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition podcast. It is a actual play podcast, and I could not be more excited. This has been the most fun project in the world. I am so grateful to be having a creative exercise with good friends of mine, and it's just a blast. I will say that it is not for children, so if you are a children, don't listen to it. And I really hope that you'll check it out. There is a link below. It is magicfolk.buzzsprout.com, or you can find us on iTunes, Magic Folk. Thank you. The other day I saw a video put up by Drawing Wiff Waffles, which was a digital art one-layer drawing challenge, and I thought that was really fun. So I am taking inspiration. Thank you, Drawing Wiff Waffles. Shout out to your channel. And I wanted to do something similar. So for me, the appeal of drawing on one layer comes from my actual history with digital art itself. For a long time, I didn't have my own computer. I only got my own laptop when I was 18, and I never really asked to put programs on any of my parents' computers, so I didn't get any real experience with drawing programs. So what I would have to do is go online and use in-browser programs on the internet and draw in those. And the one that I found had a very specific limited color palette, only 5 different brush sizes, a very rudimentary opacity system for the colors. It had specific dimensions and no layers. So I developed a lot of practice working with only one layer with that program. I will say that I don't think the challenge was maybe good or bad for my art. It just led me to have a period in my life where I was doing things a little bit unconventionally. I developed this style that was lineless. I didn't use any line art because the way I did it is I put down blocks of color, and then I thought, well, an extra step is to put the lines on top of that after you've drawn everything. So why not just make it look good and not have to put the lines on top at all? So that's kind of where I went in terms of creative direction in that time. And I still really love the style that I have as a result of all of that, and I really enjoyed the chance to bring it back because I've been using a lot of line art lately. I think my take from this whole experiment was realizing how much forethought goes into the process of doing a single layer. So you really have to think of the art itself as layers that you are putting on to a single piece of paper. I don't know if that makes sense, but basically I have a background, when I went to university, I have a background in printmaking, and the way that works is you do individual layers of each color and you build them up one by one and refine them in that way, and your image comes out from the stacking of these layers, and it's kind of a one-time only thing. You got to get it right the first time. Thankfully with this, it's a little more like painting. There's some back and forth, but there's the same concept for me sort of drove me in this drawing. You get the colors down and then you add details on top of it. Without line art to delineate certain areas of the image and to clarify things, color relationships become so important. So that is usually done through either contrast in hue or value or both. So you have light versus dark to show where edges are, or different colors. That can get a little bit muddy when you're getting into realms where two colors are very similar in value, which is the light versus darkness of a color. Having some awareness of that and making sure to be mindful of that is really important in this process. I think it's really interesting what I know about myself as an artist and what things are appealing to me, that I sort of chose. I mean, people will probably argue with me on this, but in my mind, these are sort of primary colors just in different values. So you have this dark maroon, which is the reddish, you have the navy blues, and then the sort of pinkish reddish fur, and then this yellow gold. I tend to really find experimenting with these permutations of red, yellow, and blue to be really interesting. I think that you can get some really harmonious color palettes in that way. Color was something that I knew was the emphasis here because it's the only thing here. So I wanted to be very particular in the colors that I chose and make sure that they really matched well together. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like I was very intuitive. with my color picking, I didn't sit there and think, well, this saturation needs to go with this saturation. But if you think about putting down a color first, I feel like everything can flow so much easier. In my last drawing where I drew the feast, I put down that gold background and chose my colors from there. And in this one, I put down this blue background and chose things that I thought would look good with that. Definitely experiment. If you're confused about color, look at what color schemes look good to you and try to figure out why. I had a little bit of fun with these golden shiny elements. I really love painting shiny stuff, actually. I don't know what it is about it. I guess I'm like a bird or something. I just really dig shinies. I feel like I could have drawn a little bit more of the environment colors into the reflection of the metal, but I wanted it to be a little storybook. It kind of went in that direction, that sort of paper cut sort of look. So I didn't really fuss too much with all of that. I think finally something else I'd like to point out is in the hand. I had to get creative, and this is something else that you might have to do when you're doing lineless work. When you get into an area of dark colors, you might have to fudge it a little bit and use the lighter colors to suggest line. With a leather glove, thankfully you can kind of make the argument that it's the reflection on it because of the way that light reflects off of leather, but I still like the way it turns out. This is very reminiscent of my old drawings, but better. You know, it's nice to look back at this technique I used to use and see how I've improved. You know, this was one of the characters that I did in my left hand, right hand drawing challenge. And so looking at the difference between this and that, you know, it might be the mark of me being a bad artist or an inconsistent artist. Sometimes you just have days where you just can't make something good and it just comes out bad. And sometimes you have days where you make something really great and surprise yourself. Hey, as always, thank you so much for watching my videos. If you take the time to watch my videos and comment and do all that cool stuff, it makes me feel really great because I'm just trying to share my art with people, and I hope that I get to make people happy by sharing my art in the way that making my art makes me happy. Thank you so much. Well, alright, I will see you in the next video.